Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live number 6. And today we're talking all about communication, relationships, connections, and how you can really become a better communicator. Right? In all relationships, in all of your relationships, okay? So I wanted to touch on this today. If you're just jumping on, drop me a little hello so I know that you're here. I wanted to touch on this today because last night I was working with one of my beautiful clients, my male clients. And it's interesting, all of my clients, my male clients are tradies, right? And they're all these beautiful men who are doing the inner work. And I'm so proud of all of them. And this particular client is married and has a couple of kids, and it gets a bit hectic. Life gets a bit hectic when you're working full time and you're trying to raise a family and you're trying to show up for your partner and yourself and your kids and your career. Like, it gets intense, right? And so we were talking about communication last night, and I wanted to share with you what I shared with him, one of the tools that I gave him last night. So it's really important to be really clear about what it is that you need in your relationship, okay? And the only way we can really do that is by expressing it, by sharing it with our partner. And the one thing that I've learned about men in my own relationships with men and in my journey to understanding men better in my own work with them and with my clients is that men want to be heard. Yeah? Men don't necessarily want someone to give them a solution. They don't want to be fixed. Yeah, it's very disempowering for a man to have a woman do that to him. And so what I suggest when couples come to me, what I suggest to the woman is that she just holds space for her man. She creates this really safe space for her man to be able to express to her what it is that he's feeling and what's going on for him. Now, when a man gets heard, has a safe container to be able to speak and to express, he naturally feels better, first of all, because he feels seen by his partner. And what the man then does is the man then goes off and figures out what he's going to do on his own. And that's the most empowering thing for that man. Right? Some women too. Some people, especially men, they want to figure it out for themselves. It builds confidence, it builds self-esteem, it helps them feel even more empowered. And that's really important in your relationships, right? It's really, really important. So, sorry, excuse me one sec. I just got to blow my nose. While I do that, I'm going to show you where I'm sitting. This is where I'm sitting this morning. This is where I sit every morning. And at the end of this, I'll tell you about, at the end of this little lesson, I'll tell you about the beautiful experience that I have with men every morning when I come here, right? It's really amazing. So, whether you're a man or a woman, okay, whether you're a man or a woman, hey everyone, whether you're a man or a woman, you can probably know the same feeling, you experience the same thing. Maybe sometimes when you go to sit with your girlfriends and you talk to your girlfriends or your male friends and they start to give you solutions or they start judging your situation, you're probably feeling like it's not helping. And it probably gets you even more frustrated. And then you probably are left feeling like, why did I even bother saying anything to them? They're just projecting their opinion or their thoughts onto my situation, right? So next time you invite someone to listen to you, I want you to set up the conversation. And you do that by saying this: hey, I've got some stuff that I want to share with you. And I was just wondering if you could just hold space for me to do that. It would actually be really beneficial for me to just be heard by you. Could you be a sounding board for me? Like, is that something you feel like you can do for me? And I don't need you to offer any advice. or make any suggestions, or actually even give me your opinion about the matter. All I really need right now in this moment is to be heard. Can you do that? And they will either say yes or no. They will either say, yes, absolutely, I can do that. Now, what you've just said to them is you've given them clear instructions on what you need in that moment, yeah, which is a really powerful thing to do. And the second thing you've done is you've said to them, you can take off your fix-it hat, because I don't need that, and you can just relax, and you don't have to think about what you're going to say. To help me, you can just sit there and hold space for me, okay? And so that actually allows the person to drop into that space of becoming the container for you and holding space for you. Now, that can be a really challenging thing for a lot of people to do, to just sit there and say nothing, especially if they're so used to offering advice and fixing and wanting to solve and please you and whatever. So you're actually teaching them something really powerful as well. Okay, you're teaching them something really, really powerful. So I just want to acknowledge the people that are here. Hey, Sean. Hey, Willow, Maggie, Shelby, Javel, CJ. Hi, everyone. Reginda, Alice, Michelle. Hey, Chris. So it's really important. That's where you need to take responsibility for how your conversations go. And if you know about my work, you know that I'm all about taking responsibility for your actions, owning how you get yourself into complicated situations, using communication to improve your relationships, right? It's really, really important, okay? Hey, Robert, great to see you. So you can do this in every situation. You can do this with your lover, with your partner, your husband. You can do it with your girlfriend. You can do it with your male friends. You can do it with your children. Yeah? Practice it with your children and see what happens. Okay? Now, what might happen is someone might actually halfway through go to say something because they're learning too. And this is where you just go, hey, thanks, but I just need you to hold space. Remember what I said at the start? Please just hold space for me. And they'll be like, sure. So remember I had this, I met one of my good friends. I met her about 3 years ago, and I was going through a breakup with someone at the time. We went to this event. We went to this Intoxicating Heart event with Sebastian. I can't remember his surname right now, but Sebastian was this French man, right? And he used to run these workshops called Intoxicating Heart, like next level, right? Anyway, we won't go into that, but I was going through a heartbreak, just broken up with someone. I was devastated. And we went out for pizza afterwards. And I said to her, I'm really struggling to recover from this. Like, I can't stop thinking about him because I miss him. And she's like, well, stop it. Stop doing that. And I was like, hang on a second. I go, you're basically telling me to stop feeling. That's what you're doing in this moment by saying that. Now, in that moment, because we have a very open connection, like we tell each other, we call each other on each other's shit, right? She's like, I caught her off guard. She was like, it kind of like showed her how what she was saying made me feel. And she goes, oh, okay, so what is it you need from me right now? And I said, I just need you to be soft and gentle with me because I'm a bit fragile right now. Yeah? And I just need you to hold space for me to just listen to me. What I'm feeling is what I'm feeling. It's not wrong. I'm not going to hurry it along. I'm not going to force it to become something else. And she honoured that. And she did, and she held space for me. And, sometimes when we are a particular way, let's say we have really good banter. Let's say even with our partner, we have really good banter and maybe there's a bit of sarcasm and we tease each other and all that kind of stuff. Now, if something has happened and you're feeling hurt or you've been thrown into a wound, that behaviour might come across as a little bit harsh towards you. And I know that I've experienced that in my friendships. And so what I do is if I'm about to engage with that person or if they've called me, I'll pick up the phone and I'll be like, hey, I'm a bit fragile right now. I need gentleness. And that lets them know that I'm not okay with the sarcastic banter and the teasing each other and the harshness, or the not the harshness, but the really direct communication, which can come across harsh when you're in a wound, right? You need to express that to them. You need to let people know where you're at, because if you don't, and they call you up and they're just their usual self, it's going to cut you even more because you're sensitive in that moment, okay? And the other thing to do is you could be like, well, actually, I'm too hurt right now. I'm not going to speak to that person. I'll send them a message and let them know that I'm unavailable right now, or I'll call them back when I feel better, whatever it is that you feel. But so important in relationships that you learn how to communicate. Yeah? You set up your conversations. You ask for what you want. Or you could say, I want to express all this stuff for you. Could you wait till the end? Could you wait till I've finished to then respond to me? And can you be really gentle with your responses? So for example, I find Leo men who are the star sign of Leo, I find them, there's so many beautiful qualities about them, right? But when they're communicating, they're very direct, and it can come across very harsh, and sometimes it can be hurtful, right? Because there's none of that softness and sweetness. Unless a Leo man has done a lot of work on his communication skills, it can come across a little bit harsh and a bit rough, right? So if you were communicating with this type of a man, that's where you would say, I just need a bit of gentleness. I can't really handle anything too rough right now, okay? So you're actually asking him to just, hey, can you just soften a little bit for me in this moment? I just need a bit of your softness, because the Leo man knows how to be soft and beautiful and tender and nurturing and sweet, right? But you got to ask for it. You got to let them know, because people don't always know how to show up for you unless you explain it to them, right? You got to really explain to people what you need in that moment when you are feeling fragile and gentle, okay? So, Robert's just saying, I think that's great advice. Thank you, Robert. Look, it's really helpful to ask for what you want, yeah? You got to ask for what you want. Otherwise, people are just going to show up in the way that they think you want them to show up, okay? That's what's going to happen. So you got to really start asking for what you want, right? One sec. So Willow's saying, I know this well. Are we talking about the Leo men, Willow? So guys, that's what I wanted to share about that. And we'll talk more about communication and what you can do to improve your communication. But today I wanted to specifically talk about setting up the conversation, because it's a game changer. I feel like it's really a really powerful thing that can prevent arguments, okay? Because what can happen is if you don't set up the conversation and that person keeps jumping in and interrupting you and saying, well, why'd you do that for? And why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? And you haven't even finished talking yet, well, you're not going to feel heard. You're not going to feel seen. You're going to feel disempowered. May even make you feel like you're less than or below someone, right? But that's on you. That's where you have to kind of ask for what you want. And in my experience, most people honour that. And if they don't honour that, right, if they can't honour that for whatever reason, then that's where you go, okay, it's not actually safe for me to have these types of conversations with this person. I'm not going to do it again because I don't want to feel like that again, okay? So Willow's just saying, and being more injured by the Leo man, or injured by the harshness and the directness. Is that what you're referring to? So the other thing, like, are there any questions about that at all? You know what? And I said this yesterday and the day before too. Right now, in December, it's a really challenging time for all relationships. Everyone is experiencing this pressure and this lead up to Christmas. And it's really important to drop the expectations, drop the judgments, and just allow people to just be there for people, right? Just go easy on people. Just try to be easy to be around so that other people can be easy around you too. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. Save any big conversations, any big shifts or anything that you're trying to transform, save it for next year. Give yourself a break for December, okay? So Willow's saying yes. Yep, I understand that. I understand that too, Willow. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was you probably, if you didn't watch my live where I was talking about my experiencing with learning how to trust men again, go and watch it. I think it was either on day 3 or day 4. But it's been an ongoing journey for me, right? And a couple of weeks ago, I had organised to meet up with a man that I met for a coffee or a tea down here at the beach, and he did a no-show. So I came to, well, he did a no-show as in, I messaged him, I'm like, we're still meeting up today, and he's like, nah. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I came to the beach anyway, right? I'm like, I'm still going. And what happened was really beautiful. I met this man, and he may be, I don't even know how old he is. He might be in his 70s, 75, something like that. And we got talking, and we had the most beautiful, deep conversation. It was quite intimate, actually, because we shared parts of our lives with each other, parts of our intimate lives with each other. And it was a very open, beautiful conversation. And you know what? I was so glad my date didn't show up, because I got to have this amazing date with this man, right? And what I felt was, and I've met other men in their 70s around here as well, because they all come and they swim. And I talk to all of them, right? And they talk to me too. There's no ego. Or if there is ego in these men, it's very minute, right? And what I'm finding is these men are just they're happy to get into a deep conversation with you. They're happy to engage and to get to know you and share their heart with you, right? And I think it takes our men some time to get to that point. And I think women get there quicker, right? And men get there a little bit later. And that's what I've found as I've been connecting with these men, these older men. And I've loved it because it's just effortless. It's easy. There's no resistance. They're just honest, right? And I'm like, wow, isn't this interesting that I'm finding such beautiful connections with these men, these older men. And it's helping me understand men better, right? And I asked him, I said, hey, what do you think the secret is to a good relationship? Like, what's the secret to a successful relationship? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I've been in 3 long-term relationships, but I can't really answer that. And I was like, thanks for your honesty. It was really good. It was really good to talk like that with someone, right? So let's have a look at the comments here. So Robert's saying, I agree, the Leo men are very straightforward and direct. It's kind of like they're pushing their way through. My brothers are Leo. My ex was a Leo. I thought they think they know it all, but the truth is they don't. The justice, every sign has equal ability. Yeah, look, there's positives, there's strengths and areas of growth to every star sign, okay? And I think everyone has room to grow and expand and become an even greater version of themselves, right? And I was just sharing that one little trait because that was something that I had noticed in my experience with Leo men. So anyway, guys, I will leave it there, I think, for today. Willow's saying if they get there. If they get there. I think even women struggle with that sometimes too, and I think what is really important is that we have a deep sense of acceptance for people, for where they're at. And, like in your relationships, just remember that the other person isn't you. They may have not done the level of work that you've done. They may not be able to communicate as well as you communicate, but it doesn't mean that they can't grow into that standing next to you, if that's what they want to do, right? And so I think it's important for us to accept people for where they're at. And you only get to do that when you drop the expectations and the judgments of others. And then you can meet people where they're at and you can get to know them. And that's a really beautiful thing to do. So, sending you guys so much love. If these lives help you, share them with your people. Invite people to come and follow my page. And I'm sending you lots of love. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for live number 7. Bye, everyone.